Good morning. I'm Cynthia Tolles, President of the Gadsden City Council, and we're conducting today's work session via teleconference. This meeting is being broadcast on Facebook Live and will be available later on Channel 99, AT&T Uverse, and the city's YouTube channel. Since the City Hall is closed to the public, we're making our meetings as accessible to the public as possible. As a reminder, this is a work session. It gives the council an opportunity to review items on today's agenda, as well as any ordinances or resolutions that have been routed for the council consideration. And these meetings are informal and no official actions are taken. On our today's agenda, we do have two items. One is a resolution authorizing amendment 2 to preliminary engineering agreement with CDG Engineering and Associates, and the amount is $91,508, bringing the total contract amount to $174,812. And this is for the right-of-way acquisition needed for the reconstruction of the South Side Street from Black Creek Parkway to the bridge at Black Creek. That was something we talked about last week. Is there any other discussion on it? Our next item that we will do action on later is a resolution authorizing agreement with the state of Alabama. And this is for equipment upgrade, operation, and maintenance of roadway lights on Alabama 1, 25, 74, 77, 211, and 759. Are there any questions on this particular resolution? Are there any comments or questions from the council members concerning today's agenda? Okay, if not, we'll look at the items that are in our pre-council file. And these were items that had been routed to the mayor and forwarded to the council. And the first item is a resolution that's authorizing acceptance of the 2020 CARES Act grant in the amount of $30,000. And this is to be used for operational and maintenance expenses or debit service payment related to the Northeast Alabama Regional Airport. And I'll call on the city director to give an explanation of this ordinance, of this resolution.
Can you hear me? Yeah, it's me. That's okay. I don't have to be. Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Johnny, though. Good morning. So this is actually an application and paperwork that I did for the Airport Authority. This is some money that was in the CARES Act that we were able to apply for, and it was $30,000. And so I sent all the paperwork to the state, and we have been approved. So because the City of Gadsden is the sponsor for the Airport Authority, you as the council have to approve any funding that the Airport Authority receives. So there again, as she said, this can be used just for general operating expenditures. And we would like approval of this today during council meeting if possible. I will go ahead and tell you that the Airport Authority is also getting another $150,000 in stimulus funding. That is, we're not sure if it's operational or infrastructure money, but they are getting another $150,000 that should be coming soon. Thank you.
Are there any questions to Ms. Rossa concerning this grant?
Madam President, it's always good news when we're receiving grant monies, in particular federal grant monies, because of obviously the difficulty in procuring those. But one thing I want to highlight is that obviously we had to deal some time ago with the untimely loss of Fred Thinkton as our executive director at the Airport Authority, and there are several, would believe that it would be appropriate to put an individual in that role as executive director just to fill the spot. But the model that we've deployed since his demise has truly worked well, I think, for the city, in that we have been able to secure the services of an outside agency that provides a high level of expertise in airport authority space, and has given us quite a bit of operational expertise as it relates to that. So, and this is just one additional example of the benefits that we gain in terms of just not filling a position just because it's open, but actually putting an entity in place that can serve us well. So I just thought it was pointing that out as we move forward and as we prepare ourselves for that additional $100,000 that's coming.
I would like to, and I'm not sure who the president is or the director, but at our next council meeting, we haven't had a report from the airport authority in quite a while. So I would like to, and I know that they have been in need of a director or a president. So I'd like to request that there be just to kind of give us an update of what's going on at the airport authority at our next meeting. Is there any objections from any of the council members on that?
No, I would second that.
Okay. Well, that's what we'll just request. Well, I'm requesting, and I guess we'll get with Mr. Davis to find out who would be the spokesperson from the airport authority to come and give us an update. And also a list of the members of the airport authority also.
Yeah. I think it's long overdue since we haven't had an update.
Yes.
Madam President, if I could,
yes.
Number one, I couldn't agree more that there needs to be an update from the airport authority. You know, I'm not the only one I know on this phone call that knows, valid or invalid. Over the years, there have been a lot of rumors in this community about the lack of visibility into the airport authority and some of the day-to-day operations out there. And I think it is imperative that there be a level of transparency with this newly formed board. And I think it'd be a great idea to have them come and give us some sort of regular update. I know their meetings are open to the public. I've heard that many times, but I also know that they went a long time without having meetings. So now that they've reorganized this board, we've just appointed a couple of members of the community onto this board, and I've got high expectations for the airport authority, and I think them making regular updates to this council is important. Having said that, I would also like to ask Lisa, is there any way that we could get a comprehensive report of all of the grant funding that we're applying for? Again, don't get me wrong, I'm very happy that we're getting grant funding for the airport authority, but based on my understanding of the budget, the airport authority is, generally speaking, very financially stable. So my concern is we've got small businesses out here failing. We've got, we're pulling back the recycling program now temporarily because of financial constraints. And I would like to see what, other than airport grant funding, that we're applying for or expect to be able to receive at some point in the near future.
Okay, that's good. She can do that. She can do that at our next. She's going to give us a financial sort of a update, and I've asked Lisa to maybe from this point on, while we're kind of in this pandemic, I won't say mode, but as far as our finances, as far as the city, just kind of keep an update and keep us kind of informed of our finances. Not necessarily trying to tell her how to run anything, but just to keep us update about what's going on. That's always the thing about agencies that we fund. I know there was some pushback at one time a little bit, but I've always been a believer that all agencies that the city give money to should give us an update. We don't want to run them. We kind of know how the money is going and how the money is being spent.
Well, and again, I want to make it clear, Madam President, too, that just to reiterate your point, I wouldn't dream of telling Lisa Ross or anybody else how to do their job. I'm offering my help. If there are
Yeah.
grants out there that she doesn't have time to pursue or
Yeah.
doesn't have time to research, I'm willing to do the research. I'm willing to go out and try to find the grants and help write them because I feel like this is a very critical time for that process. And the more hands on deck in that process, the better. So thank you.
Good.
Hey, Madam President, since we're talking
Yes.
about grants and stuff like that, I was gonna say this later, but the Chamber of Commerce, with the help of the City Council, some of the City Council members have a program for nonprofits now. So all you have to do is call the Chamber of Commerce, make an appointment. You can go in and get on their system and look for grants for the for nonprofits. So that's up and running now. I think they will open up to the public on May the 15th, where all you have to do is call them. And I want to appreciate the council members that gave, because that program is like $1,700. So we appreciate that.
And Councilman Worthy, I'd like to make a suggestion. You know, we're giving out the announcement, but I think that as part of something that you could do, since this has been your little thing, is to make sure you make contact with some of these nonprofits, because, you know, the excuse is, I didn't know anything about it, or we don't know anything about it. So sometimes it's good to make personal contact
Yes,
make
ma'am.
the announcement. So I think that ought to be done too, so every base could be covered.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Absolutely. And we'll shoot emails, and also we're going to go and we're going to talk to them, okay? Especially
right.
ones in our community that's, you know, sometimes are left behind. So I'll definitely go and speak with them.
Okay. Our next item is a resolution that's authorizing award of equipment master lease to Regions Bank for the 4-year lease purchase of a pumper fire station in the amount of $505,785. Here again, our finance director, if you will speak to that, please.
Yes, ma'am. For those of you that do not know, we had a pumper fire truck that was wrecked and was totaled, and so the fire chief is having to replace that truck. So he asked me to put out an RFP for financing. So I did, and there were 2 responses. There was one from Regions Bank, the interest rate being 2.37%, and the other one was for BB&T. I think they've changed their name, but I'm still going to call them that, and it was 2.41%. So this is a 4-year capital lease, and we are asking for this to be awarded to Regions Bank based on the low bid on the interest rate. And again, this fire truck is coming from Sunbelt Fire, which is where we get our equipment from, and it is in the amount of $505,785. We did get some insurance money on this on the wrecked fire truck, and it was around $170,000 that we got in insurance proceeds. And the chief has already received that check, and we're going to use that money to go against the payments on this truck.
Are there any questions? Do we always lease the pumper truck?
Yes, ma'am. We've been doing business like this for some time now. I would say for the past at least 10 years, anytime we have capital equipment that has to be purchased, we have found that has been cheaper on us actually to finance it, because the interest rate has been so cheap. And as you can see, this interest rate is almost nothing. So because he's having to use fire tax funds, this is a good way for him to leverage those funds better and use the funds that he has better than going out and purchasing a $505,000 truck that he does not have the money to do. So this is the way we've been doing. I recommend this highly, especially why interest rate is so cheap. So anyway, so yes, ma'am.
Great,
Lisa, is this a dollar lease, dollar buyout at the end? I mean, will we own this once the 4-year lease term's over?
Yes, sir. These are capital leases. So once it's paid off, it is our equipment.
Yeah, I was just making sure. Thanks.
Yeah,
Councilman Worthy,
My question is, why is the insurance rate so low? if the truck is $500 and some thousand and we only received $100 and some thousand for the claim on the pumper.
I think the fire chief is on the phone, but I'm thinking the age of the truck for one thing. You know, you have depreciation on equipment, and the age of the truck plays into that. And so, based on insurance, that was all the truck was worth.
Okay, wasn't one of our newer models then. Okay.
No.
Councilman Williams.
Yeah, guys, y'all may remember that we had this conversation some time ago regarding other capital equipment purchases. I mean, it's just always a good cash management strategy to avoid these cash outlays for equipment. When you can finance it at a reasonable rate, that's generally your best course of action.
Any other questions concerning that? Okay, our next resolution is authorizing the application and acceptance of a firefighter assistant grant for the supplies such as masks, gowns, and eye protection for the fire department, and the amount is $13,360 with a 10% match to be paid out of the fire tax. Chief Carroll, are you with us? Can you speak to that?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here. This is an AFG grant. This is a competitive grant. It's not guaranteed that we'll get this grant. We'll be competing against the New York cities of the nation. So for this grant, this grant was specifically for PPE. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This grant is specifically for PPE. It will not allow us to do any salaries or to recover any money that we've already spent. This is for additional need of PPE, like the N95 masks, the gowns, the boot coverings, and isolation kits and different things that we use on our EMS calls.
What about the, what is it? What you call the to take your temperature, the thermostat?
Thermometers.
Thermometers.
The thermometers were not included in this particular one. We had just purchased a group of thermometers that are touch-free thermometers to use out in the field. So we have plenty of those right now, even though we are still looking for other vendors to get those thermometers. They're a little hard to get a hold of right now.
And Chief, isn't it true that because of the CDC guidelines that, you know, with those thermometers, you have to have accompanying PPE to go with that, because you can't have unprotected folks, first responders, administering temperature checks?
That is correct. In fact, we modified the protocols that we are using in the field to trying to conserve our PPE on every EMS call now. At least one individual is fully clothed in all PPE and approaches the patient to assess the patient before we allow any other individuals to come in. That will also include putting a mask on the patient that we have to keep any additional contamination of the scene happening while we're inside.
Madam President, I'd like to ask the chief a question about just how's the call volume? Are you seeing an increase or in what our calls are coming into the fire department?
Councilman, back right now, our call volume is staying normal. Our EMS call volume staying normal. We're making somewhere close to 70 EMS calls per week, and our what we call our PUIs, those are persons under investigation that we think may have COVID and everything. That has came down a little bit, and we're sort of flattened out for a few days. But we're still monitoring that on a day-to-day incident to determine whether we're still going to stay flat or we're going to have a spike in this this event anytime soon. So,
all right, thanks, Chief.
I have a question, Madam President, to the chief.
All right.
Was the PPE, are y'all still backlogged, having a hard time getting the PPE?
Right now we're still searching for PPE. You can get some PPE pretty easy. and some PPE that's still difficult to get a hold of. True 3M N95 masks are hard to get a hold of. The KN95 mask, which is the Chinese-made mask, is becoming more prevalent to get a hold of, but sometimes they will double their cost on those masks. We're trying to still look diligently to find a mask at a reasonable cost instead of just reaching out there and start buying masks just because we can.
Well, my next question is, do we know of any companies that's close by in the city limits that could retool to make some PPE that the city could help? Have y'all had that discussion with the administration?
We have not, but the issue with the mask is the N95 mask is not one that you can readily make locally too much unless you can get that type material that will filter 95% of the particulates and fluids and on the scene. So a lot of the masks that you see that's homemade mask is typically used to keep from spreading you from some other individuals and not necessarily breathing in less particulates.
Yeah, Councilman Worthy, we touched on this about 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, but there are a number of manufacturers locally that have redirected their manufacturing capacity to produce face shields, aprons, many of them. But the vast majority of them are only able to do, those that can redirect their capacity are only able to do cloth masks. So they aren't really able to do the N95s or anything along those lines. But you do have a handful. And one of the more prominent ones, of course, is HMA, Honda Manufacturing of Alabama, that across their North American operations, they've redirected a lot of their manufacturing capacity to support it. So, and there are others, but I just thought I'd throw that one out there.
Yeah. When you said we, who are you referred to? Because I know we haven't talked about it here at the council unless I missed that meeting.
Yeah, no, I mentioned it about 3 weeks ago in our meeting when we talked about when I personally thank the manufacturers that are doing it. There are others obviously outside of our market, but those that directly impact our market, there are some that have redirected their manufacturing capacity.
Well, what can the city do to help them? That's really the question. So, because not just for first responders, but for the public in general, because everybody's having a hard time securing masks and different stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's a good question, and I'm not gonna take the role. And Chief Carroll probably is more of a subject matter expert on all of these things as anybody on the call. But I think from a supply chain perspective, that is such a moving target right now until it's very difficult for a municipality to support, because we're fighting for the same PPE that a lot of the private sector folks are fighting for. So it's a unique set of circumstances for us. And when you talk about money, we also, as has been reported for the last couple of weeks, we don't have the finances to throw at much of anything right now in support of some of these efforts as well. So, Chief Carroll,
we just have to make smart decisions. We have some money in reserve because we really need PPE, not just for first responders and our healthcare workers here in the city, but we need the masks and stuff for the general public. And they could pay for it. I'm not saying give it to them, but they could pay something for it, but they have to be able to get a hold of it. That's the only way we're going to stop the spread of this virus.
Councilman Worthy, very plainly spoken. It is very easy for those of us who don't truly understand the mechanics of it to say we need and we want and we should. But at the end of the day, even if we have the financial capacity to purchase, the availability is limited. And I think everybody that is in a position to purchase or procure is doing everything that they can to secure it.
That's the whole reason why I'm saying for us to do something with the local company where we could partner with them, where we could be able to help them and get it, be the first ones to receive it. But anyway, that's a discussion for later. Thank you.
Anything else to add to that, Chief Carroll?
No, sir. I would like to emphasize there is a shortage of most of the PPE, but the mask that you see on TV and different things that most people are making from home are not necessarily N95 masks.
No.
They are typically masks that would work just like a bandana or a scarf or anything like that, that would prevent the aerosol during the cough or sneeze from that individual to someone else.
Right.
The N95 mask is designed to also do that, but also if it's worn correctly, will help protect the individual wearing the mask. It's a little bit different, two different type of masks that we're talking about.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you,
All
Chief.
right. Our next item is a resolution approving a change order number 1 for bid number 3426. And this is regarding the amphitheater drainage repair project. And this is to reconcile additions and deletions to the contract with CB&A Construction. And the amount is $10,468.22, which brings the contract total to $52,387.47. And we have the city engineer on the line, Mr. Williamson.
All right.
Is Mr. Williamson available? Okay.
Hey, there I am. Yes, ma'am. So this wraps up this project. Unfortunately, we did find out in construction we had to tie to a much larger main than we thought was there, which required a larger structure, a bigger excavation, more stone and asphalt, etc. I did work with this contractor, negotiated quite a bit to get his prices down, and he did work with us. Was pleased with their work and wrapped it up about a week and a half ago. And so this will close that project out and move us on from there. If there is no objection, because that work's completed, I would ask that the council consider bringing this up under new business today. The advertisements have already occurred, so I have no issue with closing the project out from the city side.
Okay.
Hey,
Are there any questions to the
Yes,
city
ma'am.
engineer? Yes.
Madam President, I had one. Heath,
All
just
right.
kind of refresh my memory on not down in the weeds, but just 30,000 foot view. What did this project cover and entail?
Yes, sir. There's basically the old Mort Glosser Amphitheater has a drainage line that actually originates within the amphitheater itself. It ties into the parking lot where the helipad is. Most folks know where the big helicopter symbol is. And so this is one of those it was an old clay storm sewer line that's been in the ground I don't know how long. At least obviously when the amphitheater was constructed, which was some time back. But before the end of last year, Public Works was able to identify a collapse in that line, which prevented the stormwater from draining from the amphitheater. Upon discovering that, dug down on it, said, "Hey, we need to get a little more work done here," which got my department involved. And so we took it from the broken section, extended it out into the main functional line that goes to the Coosa River. Installed a new junction box, got it functional the way it should be today with new concrete line, at least from the exterior where we dug down out into the parking lot. So the old clay line is still under the amphitheater, under the walls. But essentially, we made it accessible today where the old main tied in to the existing storm sewer. There was no way to access it. Now we have a junction box for the manhole, so we can clean it out and inspect it regularly from that side. And so it got it to the standards of today.
All right, thanks. I sure appreciate that. I just wanted to make sure I thought it was a drainage issue.
Yes, sir.
We have several items that for consideration today. I think the first one had to do with the CARE. Who could I get to bring that up, please? This has to do with the 2020 CARE Act grant for the airport.
I'll do that, Madam President.
All right, and I believe the one for the resolution for the charge order, did he want that brought up today?
The change order?
He said he did,
Yes.
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 I think so.
Okay.
And I need the equipment lease today, of course.
Is the equipment,
Lease.
okay, for the,
I can do that, Madam President, for the fire truck.
yes,
Yeah.
okay. Is there anything else to be considered? Are there any other questions or comments? We see the mayor has joined us. If not, we'll take a 5-minute break, and then we'll go into our council meeting. Good morning. I'm Cynthia Tolles, President of the Gadsden City Council. And again, we're meeting by teleconference, and today's council meeting is being broadcast on Facebook Live and also can be viewed later on Comcast Channel 99 and AT&T Uverse and the City of Gadsden YouTube. This meeting of the Gadsden City Council will now come to order, and the chair calls on City Clerk Alvin Nelson for the roll call.
You muted.
Councilwoman Toles,
Here.
Councilman Williams,
Here.
Councilman Worthy,
Here.
Councilman Back,
Here.
Councilman Wilson, Councilman Cannon,
Here.
and Councilman Reed.
Here.
We have a quorum present and the meeting is open for business. I'm going to ask Councilman Back to lead the invocation.
Let us pray. Most gracious and heavenly Father, we're just so grateful to be able to gather today, even though we're gathering not in person, but as a group. Father, we ask for your guidance and your wisdom in the things that we're about to discuss and do. We ask for prayer for our city, for our county, for our state, for our nation, God. We ask for safety. We ask for peace and calm, God, and for us to be able to make the decisions that would honor you. Father, we just give all the glory to you and all the things that we do for our city. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. At this time, I'm going to call on the EMA Director, Ms. Deborah Gaither, to provide an update on COVID-19.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Good morning. I just want to remind everybody that today is the drive-through clinic at East Gadsden Methodist Church. Enter off of 8th Street, turn right on Elm, and then right on 7th, and stay in line and follow instructions. That started at 10 a.m. Also want to say thank you to Gadsden Public Works, Gadsden PD, everybody that was there this morning bright and early, county health department, regional health department managers that were there to help get us set up and rolling. We had people in line at 8:30 in the car lines. So, we're really glad that we have this opportunity. So we encourage everybody to go just until 2 p.m. So go and have your testing done. There's no doctor recommendation needed for this drive-through. So we are glad that our healthcare partners could do that for us today. We don't want to let them down and not show up. We know that earlier in the afternoon, there may be some rain. So there's a small window there that we may have to close it a little bit early. So just go ahead and go if you can, find the time to go and get in line and have that testing done. On the other hand, we want to remind everybody we're still in the safer at home time frame of our phasing into the new normal. We still want to think through what we do every day, wash our hands, use hand sanitizer, disinfect, clean where you can, social distance as much as possible. We're still wanting to be cautious, at least until May 15th, so we can get a better idea of how things are going to go, and don't want to be a reason to cause ourselves any problems. So we just encourage everybody to do that. This morning, we have 146 confirmed cases in Etowah County, and that's with 10 deaths across the county. We want to let those families know that we still are thinking of them, and if there's anything that we can do as a city or as a county to let us know that we can help them in any way that we can. We have some volunteer agencies who are offering some mental health in case they need it, chaplain services, other things that are available to them if they need it. So they just need to give us a call here at the EMA. Also want to remind the city department supervisors that we're still working on buying a bulk purchase of PPE, and I still need your list of PPE that you need. So we need that for planning purposes for 9 months out. Some of you already have it, and I appreciate it, but if you haven't gotten it to us, go ahead. We have found a couple of places to do some rather large bulk purchasing that we can share with another county, and they will cost share that with us. So we want to take that into consideration as we're purchasing too, because sometimes it's hard to find unless you buy in bulk. And that's why we are trying to get this list up and updated so we can plan ahead. Then also, any department head or supervisor, for what you have spent, whether it be personnel, equipment, supplies, through April the 30th, we sent all department heads a spreadsheet that they could give us the reimbursables that go through April 30th. We're going to do several claims with FEMA, but this first claim will be through April the 30th. And we just need the input from the department heads to make sure that we cover all the costs that have been incurred with this response. So, you know, that's anywhere from us to housekeeping to police to fire, unless you're claiming it on another grant. This FEMA reimbursable will be 95% of the cost, up to $131,000 per project. So that's why we're working on getting those up and updated. If I don't think I have any other new news. Any questions about things that are going on with EMA or our public health partners, even some of our responding agencies?
I'd just like to ask, I know you're testing today, will there be another testing site that will go on in the city of Gadsden or Etowah County?
Yeah, we're working with public health, and I think that will be announced tomorrow, that there'll be some testing specifically done at the health department. Not so much setting up another test location to drive through, but where people could come a couple of days a week just to the health department and do it. I think that'll help them with staffing, the issues that they could have with staffing, and then also with some of our citizens that depend on other transportation.
Any other questions from any council member?
Deborah,
Yes.
does this count the FEMA money? Does that count for the storm damage we had here in Gadsden?
No, that'll be a separate one. We'll have to do that separately, and I'm sure that Mike Hilton has all that information in already, I believe. So that'll be counted on one that will be specific to Easter Sunday tornadoes.
And can you tell us if the tests are given today are the old test or the new test?
I don't know that. I'm quite sure public health could answer that, but I don't know that as of right now.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the council member? If not, we thank you, Ms. Gaither, for all that you do for the city and also for the county, and you have our support.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you all. Y'all have a nice day.
All right, thank you. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the work session and council meeting that was held on April the 28th.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
All right, Councilwoman Toles,
Yes.
Councilman Williams,
Yes.
Councilman Worthy,
Yes.
Councilman Back,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
Councilman Reed.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve the minutes.
The chair will entertain a motion to ratify payments of accounts for the week of April the 24th through the 30th.
So move.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Councilman Reed,
Yes.
Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilman Back,
Yes.
Councilman Worthy,
Yes.
Councilman Williams,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Toles.
Yes.
Motion carries to ratify payment of the accounts.
Unfinished business today, we have none. Our next item is a resolution authorizing amendment number 2 to preliminary engineering agreement between the city and the CDG Engineering Associates in the amount of $91,508, which brings the total contract amount to $174,812, and this is for the right-of-way acquisition needed for the reconstruction of South 11th Street from Black Creek Parkway to the bridge at Black Creek. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Councilwoman Toles,
Yes.
Councilman Williams,
Yes.
Councilman Worthy,
Yes.
Councilman Back,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
and Councilman Reed.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt.
Our next item is a resolution authorizing agreement with Alabama Department of Transportation, and this is for equipment upgrade, operation, and maintenance of road lights along specific roadways. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So move.
Second.
Are there any discussions? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Councilman Reed,
Yes.
Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilman Back,
Yes.
Councilman Worthy,
Yes.
Councilman Williams,
Yes.
Councilwoman Toles.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt.
Is there any new business?
Madam President, I have one, please, ma'am.
All right.
Comes from the Finance Department. It's a document. This is resolution authorizing acceptance of the 2020 CARES Act grant in the amount of $30,000 to be used for operating and maintenance expenses or debt service payments related to the Northeast Alabama Regional Airport. Like to ask for unanimous consent.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Councilwoman Toles,
Yes.
Councilman Williams,
Yes.
Councilman Worthy,
Yes.
Councilman Back,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
and Councilman Reed.
Yes.
Consent has been granted.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Councilman Reed,
Yes.
Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilman Back,
Yes.
Councilman Worthy,
Yes.
Councilman Williams,
Yes.
Councilwoman Toles.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt.
All right. Is there any more new business?
Yes, Madam President, I've got a resolution for.
He's muted.
Yeah. You muted yourself.
There we go. This is a resolution for awarding an equipment lease for 4 years to Regions Bank for a pumper truck for the fire department.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Councilwoman Toles,
Yes.
Councilman Williams,
Yes.
Councilman Worthy,
Yes.
Councilman Back,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson, Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
and Councilman Reed.
Yes.
All righty, consent has been granted.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Second.
Are there any discussions? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Councilman Reed,
Yes.
Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson, Councilman Back,
Yes.
Councilman Worthy,
Yes.
Councilman Williams,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Toles.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt.
Are there any more new business?
Who is muted?
If there's not any more new business, then we'll move to our department.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I think that they wanted something brought up from the engineering department about the $10,468. If I wasn't mistaken, Heath wanted that brought up.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd
Yes.
like to bring that up, please. Resolution authorizing change order number 1 about the additions to the contract with CBA Construction LLC for the amphitheater drainage repair project. And its budget's for $10,468.22, please.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Councilwoman Toles,
Yes.
Councilman Williams,
Yes.
Councilman Worthy,
Yes.
Councilman Back,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
and Councilman Reed.
Yes.
We have unanimous consent to consider today.
Move to adopt, please.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Councilman Reed,
Yes.
Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilman Back,
Yes.
Councilman Worthy,
Yes.
Councilman Williams,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Toles.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt.
Are there any more new business? If not, at this time, we're going to hear some committee reports, and the first one will be from Ms. Rosser concerning finances. She'll just give us a report. Ms. Rosser?
Yes, good morning again. As most of you are aware, on March the 19th, Governor Ivey issued a stay-at-home order that in essence shut down retail, industry, and a large portion of city government. So the report that I have in my hand today, those of you that are here in the building, you have this report in front of you. Those of you that are not, your report will be in your box so that you can pick it up. But basically, I want to make sure that everyone understands this is March taxes. Okay, March taxes are not due until the 20th of April. This is April report, but this is March taxes. So basically, this report was for 12 days. The shutdown in March had an effect for 12 days. So if you compare March of 2020 to March of 2019, this report shows that our general account was down by $589,518, or 15.7%. So basically in March, our revenue was down 15.7%. And again, we're talking about for 12 days. Now, I want to pinpoint a couple of our relevant taxes, our major ones. Sales tax was down $193,858, or 9.9% in our general account. And when you pick up your information, you will see I have done a separate page for sales tax, because I want to make sure you all understand sales tax is divided. Only 60% of it goes into our general account. Then 20% goes in capital improvement 1, 20% goes in capital improvement 2. So actually, sales tax was down $322,700, okay, for the month of March. So it's not just the 198 you see here, okay? It's a total of $322,000 that it was down. Now, the thing about this that I want you to understand is that we had some businesses. We had Johnson's, Walmart, Dollar General Store, Aldi, and Lowe's, whose sales were up significantly in March. For those 12 days, it was unreal. We had one of those businesses, and I'm not going to say which one, but their sales were up 74% in that 12-day period of time. But even with all of these businesses having an increase in sales during March, we were still down, okay, $322,000 in sales tax. So even though they were up, it could not make up the difference for all your restaurants that were closed, all your retail that was closed, okay, and your city government, basically. In looking at occupational tax, our occupational was down 23.5%, or $297,262 for March. And there again, that's because of businesses that had to lay off employees. You had restaurants that laid off numerous people because they did not need waiters and waitresses anymore. The city of Gadsden, we furloughed 100 and I think it was 60-something non-full-time people, okay? So there again, occupational was down. And those numbers are going to get higher because a lot more people lost their jobs in the month of April. Then we had recreational services that was down 106.8%. It actually was in the negative. And you say, well, how is that possible? That's because all of our city recreational facilities were closed. Every rec center, Knockville Falls Park and Campground, the venue, everything was closed. So there was no revenue coming in, but at the same time, we had $30-something thousand in refunds that had to be made, okay, where people had booked our facilities and they couldn't come, so we had to make refunds. Municipal court fines, okay, down 70.5%. Again, this is March numbers. Therefore, the court was closed. We all know it was closed the whole time for April, and it's closed right now. The court system by the administrative office of the court have been told they cannot open at least until the 15th or 16th of this month, and probably are going to be closed for the whole entire month, okay? So we generate about $100,000 in court funds in a month. So there again, that's going to be significant. Now, let me remind you, sales tax and occupational are our two largest taxes. They make up 72% of our general fund. And we are going to, and so the impact of COVID is most likely going to hit us very hard in those two areas, sales tax and occupational. On the expense side, we're doing fine. We've expended 47.9% of our 58% budget at this point, so we're okay on the expense side, okay? We're trying to only pay essential expenses. But there again, you've got to remember, our personnel costs, payroll is about $275,000 a week, not including what we're paying for retirement and insurance. So basically, all in all, okay, we lost about $750,000 in total for the month of March. That's reflected on this report. $589,000 of it was in our general account. And there again, we all know in the month of April, we were totally shut down. Everything has been shut down for the month of April, and now we're into the month of May. So I had a person that is an advisor to tell me, you can pretty much take this number, double it, and multiply it by 20%, which would be $1.8 million for the city. And they're saying that's about how much your impact or your loss is going to be for the month of April. So we will not know that. We do not get April's numbers. April's taxes are not due until the 20th of May. So we will not see April's numbers until the end of this month. But there again, we all know that we're going to be hit very, very hard. Not just us, our federal government, state government, all municipal governments have been hit very hard during this time. So we're doing everything that we can do to maintain and, hopefully get things back up running. We've already opened up a few facilities that's already made a difference in our income. So we just got to stay on track. Any questions?
Councilman Worthy?
Yes, ma'am. You said that the payroll for the city is $275,000 weekly, right?
Yes, so that's just payroll.
That's just
not
payroll.
benefits, that's just payroll.
That's just payroll. Okay, what is that including the 160 people that was furloughed or not?
No, it does not.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Madam President, I had a question.
Yes.
Lisa, have you got any numbers on internet sales tax?
Yes, we do. I do not have that sheet with me, but internet sales were up, but that number is not a very big number. So certainly it helped and all, but it's not it's not enough to really make a difference.
I see. I saw a report that the state of Montgomery was talking about internet sales tax. It skyrocketed with all the people staying at home and ordering. And
Yes.
I didn't really suspect that we
Yes.
would have a big windfall, but I'm assuming that it's more than it typically is.
It is, and it was up significantly.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions to the finance director?
Thank you so much. Y'all have a great day.
All right. The next person, if we can get Mr. Hilton on the line, last week I'm sure, and I thought it was quite comical because I saw some men on a tractor spraying, so I guess they must have took up Councilman Williams' advice and started spraying grass when I left council meeting. But if Mr. Hilton is available, if he can come on and sort of give us a update about grass cutting, about the recycling, about the landfill, and
Yes,
and how they're operating.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
There were some questions last week or some statements last week about what Public Works is doing as regards to grass cutting. If you just heard the words from Ms. Rosser, financially we're in a situation now where the city has made some changes. some of those changes involving Public Works. Typically right now in Public Works, we would have, I'm going to say 60 non-full-time employees working that we don't have right now. Those 60 employees, at least 50 of those folks would be cutting grass. Because of that, we've had to cut back on some of the grass that we cut. The discussion was, where do we cut? And our answer was nuisance lots. We have cut in the years past over 1,000 nuisance lots every summer, and we cut those lots probably 3 or 4 times. That's a lot. That's a lot of grass. Nobody's happy about the fact that we're not able to do that now. But reality is what reality is. Without the employees, it's difficult to get that work done. What we are still cutting, we still have a couple of tractors that are doing bush hogging. We're cutting our city right-of-ways in the areas where Meaghan Boulevard, Albert Raines Boulevard, Sansom Avenue, the areas where those are, all our parks are being cut. Our city facilities are being cut. Our city lots, the city has about 50 or 60 lots that we've gained over the last few years. We're cutting those and spraying those. You'll see some brown grass in those areas. And there's also a little around 1,200 state lots. We're working our way through those state lots too. So if you have questions about grass, if your constituents who regularly call us have questions about grass, have them call us out here at Public Works. They can talk to me. I'll explain to them the situation that we're in. Hopefully this will improve, but with the economic situation like it is and the COVID issue, that's another thing besides just the economy. All these folks are working. We basically pack everybody in the truck and go in an area and start cutting grass, and that's not really what we want to do with the COVID things the way they are now. So we've got a couple of different factors that factored in on what we can and can't do with grass this time. We are still doing pretty much every other thing that Public Works does. We've changed some schedules up to keep folks from being on top of each other all the time. We've got different crews coming in at different times. So that's working out pretty well for us, social distancing, that kind of thing. There has been an abundance. Let me just say this. There's been an abundance of debris put out since everyone is not working and staying home. I think the honey-do list has put everybody in the yard working. In the month of April alone, I think we had 1,663 tons of debris picked up. That's about a 30% increase over the same time last year. I have more loader trucks, debris trucks working now than I've ever had in the 22 years that I've been here. And it still looks like a war zone out there. Unfortunately, it looks like we're not doing anything. If you want to get with me offline, if you have questions now, I can tell you in each area pretty much what we picked up in that area in April. If I can look, the lowest amount that we picked up in any area was 149 tons of debris in the month of April. Everyone else was above that. And the mountain area where we had the storm that came through, that was almost double what we picked up in that area. So we've got folks working. We're doing what we can do to socially distance. As these summer months progress, you're going to hear a lot from your constituents, I'm sure, about grass and the height of the grass. You will clearly see this year what we have done in the past by clearly what we can't do this year. So if you wasn't sure about what we did grass cutting last year, look around this year, and if that changes, if economically things change and we're able to put more employees on. Right now, I don't know if I wanted to hire 60 people at 29 hours a week at $8.25 an hour if we would have folks flooding in the doors to try to get in here to work with us. That's usually a 2 or 3 month process where I sit down and make that happen so that by this time of year, I've got everybody coming in. School kids, college folks that come home for summer. We usually have about 15, 20 of those folks that work for us. Don't know in the event economically we could do that, if we could still do that. Of course, with the COVID restrictions, it's difficult to put everybody in a truck at this time and kind of do the things with the way we used to do it. I do understand there will be a new norm as the months roll by and we figure out what that new norm is for us out here at Public Works. It's fluid. We can change day to day, week by week to try to make things fit the circumstances. So at that time, a little overview of what we go, and I would be more than happy to entertain any questions that you have.
Is the recycling center open?
Excellent question. I didn't touch base on recycling. So at recycling, we typically have 2 full-time employees and at the most 14 non-full-time. We have 2 full-time employees and 1 non-full-time now. we made the decision when everything was shut down to try to do one or the other. We could do drop-off service, or we could do where we got the trailers out where we were collecting cardboard. We chose to do the trailers and the cardboard. We cannot do that with 3 people. So this week, we're trying to touch base with everybody that we can this week. We're pulling all those trailers in. We can't function both of those entities. We can barely function one. If we're going to do it, we will be able to offer drop-off service. As soon as we get that, I think we've got about 75 trailers that are out. We're going to be bringing those in, baling those products, getting those things cleaned up and moved out of the way. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, recycling will be back open for drop-off only, not for out in the community. So if folks want to drop off, stay tuned to the webpage. I know that's a little misleading. Let me say this. I've spoken with Eric about it. If you just Google Gadsden Recycles, it takes you directly to our page, which shows it says on there that we're open. We don't have something on that separate page like the rest of the city doesn't either. If you go to the City of Gadsden webpage, it'll tell you that everything is basically closed, but it's not individually on that page. We field about 50 calls a day out here at Public Works for folks wanting to know that same thing. So hopefully this information will get out there. As recycling drop-off service opens back up, the banners will be up over there, the gates will be open, everything will be moved out of the way. But we're hoping, if everything goes well, to that be about the first week of June when we can work that in, if things get to go the way they are.
Mike, can you clarify what the long-term plan is for the trailers? I know you and I discussed that specifically. I just think there's a big sentiment out there that, you know, the city has taken this opportunity to get out of the recycling business, and I'm just trying to assuage those concerns. So can you clarify what the long-term strategy is for the trailers? Thanks.
Yes, sir. The city is not trying to get out of the recycling business. Let me say this. We would love to be fully funded and fully employed right now at Public Works. Recycling was going great as it could go. I mean, you know, it's a service. So it's not like we were making money in that venture, but at the same time, we were providing a service that a lot of folks enjoyed. It is our goal, hopefully, if economic things change, and we all know we're going to have a bad quarter, without talking about what the good year hit's going to be. If the COVID quarter gets by and financially we're able to put more folks in play at recycling, and that's what the administration wants us to do, is move more toward putting folks back into play at recycling versus putting folks back into cutting grass. May not be able to have both right now, but our long-term goal is to get recycling back where it was and advance that, you know, futurely down the road, we'll do more at recycling. Being green is not something that we don't like. Being green is something that we do like. While these products don't go in our landfill, they do go in some landfill. And so anything we can do to alleviate that, of course, we want to do that. Basically, it's an economic issue right now.
Thanks, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Worthy.
Well, yes, ma'am. Thank you to Mr. Hilton. Appreciate you coming on this morning. My question to you is, can you walk me through the process of the thinking to do the state lots versus the nuisance lots when we don't get any money from the state for cutting their lots, but we do at least get money from these nuisance lots?
Well, yes, sir. It's not really an economic issue as far as the money goes. When we cut a state lot, first thing we did was cut all the city lots. When we cut those city lots, if you look around, you'll see some brown grass. That's because it's a city lot. We can treat that with some chemical to keep that grass from growing every year. When we do a state lot, all but a couple who we ended up with some issues with Roundup, all but a couple lots on the state lots, we can also do that too. We're not going to have an issue with the state saying that we have done something to that property that's probably not what a person would want done on their own property. So the decision was made, we can control the state lots, we can control the city lots, we can do things on those that we can't, and we're only going to have to do those one time. When we talk about a nuisance lot, when we go through a neighborhood and cut nuisance lots, we're back a month later or a month and a half later cutting that nuisance lot again. There's two different issues there. The reality is the state had to take over that lot, and they're not going to do anything with it. The private property where a nuisance lot is, that private property owner by ordinance is required to keep that lot up. We're hoping that the letter that they get doesn't say, if you don't cut it, the city will and will charge you. We're hoping that the letter that they get now says, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, we're going to give you a citation. You can work it out in court with a fine from them. That's what we would hope at Public Works. If we can't do it, we want them to do what they're supposed to do. In the past, the price was so low for the city to cut it, a lot of folks didn't care. Let them cut it, we'll bill you for it. If you look at the council agenda over the past month or two, you'll see probably 2 or 3 pages of where folks have not paid for cutting grass, and they're wanting you guys to forgive that. We don't have a dog in that fight at Public Works. We just do the work. So when it came down to, are you going to cut what you're supposed to cut? Are you going to cut what you others want you to cut? We decided to cut what we're supposed to cut: the city lots, the state lots, and all the city properties, parks, right-of-ways, those kind of things. That was what was factored into that.
Okay, well, and the reason why I'm asking, because I know we have, in District 3 alone, we have 10 city lots, we have 287 state-owned lots, and we have nuisance lots of 100 lots. So, but my understanding and the research that I've done showed that we've not made, but a lot of people have paid, right around $40,000 so far this year for cutting the nuisance lots. But I know, like I said, we won't get anything from the state. But I just wish us a way that we could, continue cutting, and maybe before too long, we could get some part-timers back to cut these nuisance lots.
Absolutely. Councilman Worthy, nobody, I promise you, nobody hates tall grass worse than me. But when it comes down to what can we do and what do we want to do, we had to make a choice of what we actually can do. What I've told the guys, if we're going to do something, we need to do what we can do and do it right. If we try to spread out and do a little bit here and a little bit there, and hopefully that's not what we'll get to. If I can't cut the grass off Tuscaloosa Avenue, I can't cut the grass off Rainbow Drive or the mountain or anywhere else. If we're not going to cut nuisance lots, I don't want to cut any nuisance lots. I don't want to pick and choose. I feel like we can get the state lots by the end of summer. We'll get all those done one time. I would love to have employees here in order to get this work done. Unfortunately, it's just not possible at this time.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Madam President, I had a question for Mike. Mike,
All right.
I took the information you shared with me the other day about the debris pickup in the 10 routes, and I got a good response on the social media. I think maybe other districts might want to hear that. If you could, I'm sure we're all getting calls. I had 2 calls this morning about debris pickup, and I just kind of repeated what you had shared with me. So I thought it was good information, and most people kind of agreed with it.
Yes, sir. For folks that want to know about debris pickup, I currently have 13 loader trucks. That's what we use for debris pickup. Of those 13 trucks, we have 10 routes where regularly the route starts on position A and goes through position Z, starts back over on A and goes through Z again. Yesterday here at Public Works, we had 3 pages of calls. On those 3 pages of calls, folks said, I've had debris out there for 2 days. And some folks said, I've had it out there for 2 weeks. And some folks said, I've had it out there for 2 months. The reality is the volume of debris dictates how long it takes to get through a route. We try to explain to folks on the phone, hopefully they'll understand that if it's this time of year, spring cleaning is always heavy. But this time of year, for some reason, in addition to spring cleaning, I guess with folks being home and maybe not some other things to do, the amount of debris that's out there, on top of the fact the tornadoes that came through, the volume is overwhelming. And so when we start a route, we complete the entire route before we start over. If someone calls and says, I want you to come to my house today, if they're not in front of that route, then it's going to be when we get back around. And unfortunately, I don't have the manpower and the equipment to just have somebody that just responds to calls. Otherwise, the route would never get finished. There are folks that constantly put stuff out. If you go through any neighborhood, this is on in Country Club, this is on Tuscaloosa Avenue, East Gadsden, Green Pastures. If you go through any neighborhood this week and pick up everything in that neighborhood, you can come back next week and it'll look like we have not been there. There is no charge. There is no charge for us picking up debris. It has been my hope that possibly something could change with that. We would love to have a $10 to $25 amount put on the garbage bill that says, okay, guess what? Everybody now pays for trash pickup too. I'm not the politician that would say, hey, that's probably going to go over like a rock in the creek. But for something, you know, no one has any reason not to put stuff out. And so I can swing by, we can pick it up today, and tomorrow there'll be more debris out there. Of course, that's what we do with these 13 trucks, these employees. That's what these guys do. That's what they get paid for. But you have to understand the way the route system works. It's not like garbage where you know on a certain day it's coming. We have to complete the route, start the route over again, and then go through that. You can understand with vacation, equipment malfunctions, and things like that, sometimes things get behind. This time of year, things get behind. Dead of winter and dead of summer, things are caught up. We can run a route in a week. This time of year, it's 3 and sometimes 4 weeks before a route's completed.
Councilman Cannon, and then Worthy. You're on mute, Councilman.
Do what?
No.
How many recycled trailers do we have at the hospitals?
I do not know. I would say if we were at Gadsden Regional, I would say probably 2 or 3. When I say we're going to bring in all the recycling trailers, of course, we wouldn't do that at a city facility. If it's going to be at the venue or at City Hall or somewhere like that, we're going to take care of city facilities, those kind of things. But understand when the recycling trailers were out there, that's a service we're providing to a business. The business, it's their responsibility to take care of their trash, including their cardboard, plastics, those kind of things. So it's been a great service for them. They haven't had to pay for that in the past, but this is just something that's going to be their normal operating from here on out.
I didn't know if we was going to take them, all the trailers up from the hospitals or not.
Yes, sir. Any private agency, we would want to bring those in.
This time right now, it looks like if there's any way we could leave them at the 2 hospitals, we need to, because they're in so much turmoil, both the hospitals trying to take care of the sick people and all that now. So just wondering if there was any way we might could leave those there for a while.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but the folks using the recycling trailer at the hospital, they have a job too. And we don't want to take that job away from them, which we wouldn't. But hospitals are not a nonprofit, although many of them are not making a lot of money right now. They're not a nonprofit. They're not an entity that we would want to treat different from Bag 40 Beer Company or any other private industry that we're taking away. Fair industry, which is cranking back up this week, they can fill up 3 trailers a day easily. And so if we're going to tell Farrah, who is giving us all that cardboard, which we do sell and make a little money on, we're going to tell Farrah that, hey, guess what? I'm sorry, we're going to have to take these trailers away. I don't know how we could tell the hospital, who is a for-profit industry, the same thing, that no, we're going to let you keep those too. I understand the sentiment, but it's my job. We try to treat everybody the same as best we can.
Okay, so it's my understanding we're going to pull all the trailers this week, correct? Everybody's trailer, right?
That are at for-profit industries, yes.
Okay, when will that be done by? Friday?
No, sir. It'll take us at least a couple of weeks to get all those in. When you bring it in, you got to dump it. You got to bale that cardboard, put things out where they need to go. It'll take us a couple of weeks to get all that done. And we're trying to talk with folks as we do it. We just don't want them to come out and have a missing trailer, not know what's going on. So we're trying to get the word out, individually speak with folks at the businesses and industries where they are as they're coming back online to work too.
So we don't have any time frame when the trailers might go back out, correct? Yet.
Go back out?
No, we don't have any time frame when the trailers might go back out. And where are we going to store these trailers?
We'll store these in a warehouse out at the depot to try to keep them from walking off. They're a good-looking trailer. A lot of folks might want those. We'll put those inside a lock and key out at the air depot. I would love to have those things right back out where they came from, 2 months from now. It's going to be economically driven as to whether we can do that or not. I would say by fall, we should know. Mr. Austin may speak better on that, but I would say by fall, we'll know economically where we're going to put our dollars. And at that point, again, I'm a public works guy. I would be okay if you guys shut down Parks and Rec and let all that money come out here to public works and we stay fully funded. But Jen may not be happy with me by saying that, but everybody has their own importance. I'm a public works guy, so I say fully fund us and let the rest fall where it falls.
Do you think about how much money do you think we'll lose in recycling when we take these trailers up?
Well, we won't lose any,
dollar-wise.
yes, sir. We won't lose any money. Recycling doesn't make money. It's like pretty much every other service that the city provides. We won't be losing the dollar amount. Last year in cardboard sales, for what we sold, I think we were probably around $100,000 in cardboard sales. But the cost of recycling was probably triple that, if I had to guess, with what we were doing over there. So that would, of course, augment the loss. But when you say how much are you going to lose by doing that, you already had a fixed cost to start with.
So cardboard brings about $100,000 a year, and it costs us $300,000 to operate it.
Well, don't hold those numbers true. I'm giving you guesstimates. But those numbers are probably in the ballpark. It's probably a 3-to-1 ratio, if I had to guess. And cardboard fluctuates. The price of recycling fluctuates from month to month. It can be week to week, but pretty much from month to month. And so glass doesn't make anything. Aluminum, the small amount of metal that we get over there, of course, there's some money in metal, very little. But you have to factor in the cost of what it takes to run the place versus what you take getting in. And of course, it's going to be a money losing. We never went into recycling to make money. We went into recycling for the purpose of being green, to help the planet, save landfill space. Even if it's not our landfill safe, it does save landfill space. And it took off a lot better than I thought it would. I'll be honest with you, I never expected recycling to do what it's doing now. But the public is in on recycling. And so it is something that we don't want to go away. We want it to come back, but we've got to be economically feasible to get it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Councilman Worthy.
Mr. Hilton, would you give us the number for people to call out there for grass and debris, stuff like that? What was the phone number?
If someone wants to call Public Works, our office phone number is 256-549-4704. When you call that number, most of the time, I've got a full-time girl and a part-time girl, 29 hours a week, who answer the 3 phones or 4 phone lines that we have here. So yesterday, being one of the days that the part-time girl was off, the full-time girl, bless her heart, was about to pull her hair out. I mean, she was. The phone was ringing off the hook. Folks will call and they'll say, look, I've been calling all day, I can't get you. Just keep calling. Just keep calling. You can get a hold of us. Just give us some time. We're typically here from 7 to 3, Monday through Friday. If you can't get us, keep calling back, 549-4704, area code 256, and we'll answer any question truthfully that you ask. You can always talk with me. They can transfer you to my cell phone or leave a message for me to call you back. I'll call back everyone who wants to speak with me. And I'd rather tell you the truth and have you mad at me than lie to you and make you think something's going to happen that's not. So at any time, feel free to give me a call and I'll explain what we can and can't do the best of my ability.
Well, thank you. And I also want to tell you, thank you for catching up around fuzzy debris in District 3. You know, I talk sometimes, but I also want to give you kudos and say thank you for last week.
Yes.
Appreciate
Councilman Worthy, in District 3 last month, you had 149 tons of debris picked up in the Dust Loop Avenue area alone. You were kind of on the lower level, but we spread folks around as best we can and get it up as quick as we can. Bear with us. We're going to get it all the time.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, I think this is all of our committee reports. And at this time, if council members have, we've talked a lot about finance. We've talked a lot about public works. So if you have some announcements so that people will kind of digest everything that we said, if you have some announcements for your district, we ask you at this time to make them. Councilman Wilson, call on you first.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to encourage everybody in District 5 to please fill out your census. I'm getting really, really frustrated with people in my district that are not filling these census out. I know that some people are reporting that they're just now receiving their paper documents in the mail, so that's understandable. But for those of you who have access to the internet, you can log on to census2020.gov, and it takes 4 minutes to fill this thing out. And it has an incredible impact on this city's ability to provide the services you guys scream and holler and demand that we provide. But we can't do that if you guys will take 4 minutes out of your day every 10 years to fill your census out. Fill it out, people. Fill it out. The other thing I just want to say, please, as we open this community back up and we open this state back up, I know everybody's anxious to get out and about. Please wear a face mask if you go out in public. The worst thing that can happen to this community is for us to open this thing back up and have a second wave of these infections. I know there's a lot of people out there. There's all kinds of theories and rumors circling around. Some people say it was all fake to begin with and it wasn't real and all this. But we are having real financial impact from this, and people are dying from this. Just this weekend, we had over 800 new cases reported in Alabama. That's the most we've had over a weekend since this started. So if anybody thinks that this is all over and you just go back to business as usual, we are going to destroy this community if you don't put on a face mask when you walk outside. So please, for yourself and for the rest of this community, please wear a face mask when you go out. And that's all I have. Thank you, ma'am.
Councilman Reed, for your district.
Do have exceptional employees in this city, not only the first responders, police, fire, the medics, and so on, EMA, great, all the way through this thing. But I want to recognize the fact that the people in this city hall and all out throughout this city, our employees have been on the job 24/7. And I think they need some recognition for that, because without them, we wouldn't have much of a city. They're kind of unseen folks, but they've been on the job. They ain't been hiding nowhere. That's all I have.
Councilman Cannon.
I just want to touch on what people's been telling me, what I've seen on Facebook. I look around here on this today. I look around here watching all the council members on here and the mayor, and it looks like we've all aged probably 10 years. I hate to tell y'all that, but it's because of the city finances we're in that we couldn't help. It's because of COVID-19, the businesses not being open. None of that's our fault, guys. We was on track. We had 3 months operating expenses or more in our budget. We was ready for disaster. Goodyear closed. This council's in the last 14 years, we've never had to lay off a person in 14 years until this happened to us. That should say something. Out of the 13 years, 12 years, everybody's got a raise, but 1 year, that should say something about the council and the mayor's office. We've built a venue. We're doing a new community center. The walking trails, the chapel at the church. I can go on and on. The library in Alabama City, the new police precinct. We're doing the new trolley thing. We've done so much for this city, and to people to get on the internet and Facebook that may be running for council next time and maybe running for mayor next time, to try to just out there and dog us. I mean, just dog us on all this stuff that we're not doing. You don't see us. Well, I can tell you right now, all these people here are my brothers and sisters, and we work really hard for this city. The mayor's office works hard. Sherman Gadsden, he calls me 2 or 3 times a day. I can just about count the time when he's going to call me. It's about the same time every day. He calls me and asks me what's going on. He's been riding through the city. He's been talking to the people. He's just been out there doing everything. Just because you don't see one of us don't mean we're not working. I run into Councilor Wilson this weekend. He was up to campgrounds. He was making sure everything was going smooth up there. I've run into Kent back. I've seen him out in the communities doing stuff, Worthy. I've seen Ben. I see Ben all the time, talk to Ben all the time. He's out there working. And for just people to just get on there and dog you what you're not doing, and you could do this and you can do that. My suggestion is if you can do all this stuff better than we can, and you can come up here, just run for office next time. Just don't dog the people that's working for you, that's won the election, that's out here trying to do the very best they can for you. People don't know what it's like to lay in bed at night and have to wonder if we're going to have enough money to pay the people that's working for us, and wonder about the people we've laid off, how it feels to lay people off. I don't want to lay anybody off. I didn't want to do that. We had to. But actually, I know every one of us worries about where we're going to get the money to pay the people, how many people are going to get to work, when can we bring the people back. We love this city. We love this community. And we love everybody. I don't understand why that a certain few people can just get on Facebook and dog us like they do and not have the guts or encouragement to call us on the phone and ask us what's going on or what are we doing. Just, do that. Just don't hide behind a Facebook page and saying they should do this, they should do that. You don't know what we should do. You don't know what we're doing. Sherman Gadsden, he's everywhere. I mean, I just don't know how the man goes in many places he does and checks on people. He checks on the elderly people all the time. He checks on young people. I've seen him at the falls. I've seen him all over this town. He just rides around and looks at the bus, the trash, the problems. He's there all the time. And, you need to quit dogging us. I've heard every one of us has been dogged on the internet. Something we hadn't did or something we should do. Hey, if you can do better, by all means, run. But please, quit dogging us. Just pray for us. That's all I have.
Councilman Williams.
Well said, Councilman Cannon. I think there's some valuable points in there. People are obviously welcome to their opinion, but just understand that folks are out there working very hard. And you also have to remember you're looking at a group of elected officials. And Councilman Reed said it best. The folks that are actually doing the work are the folks that are on the front lines working at City Hall every day. The vast majority of the folks on this council are people who essentially are just inquiring about what's the work that's actually being done. But we're not actually doing a lot of that work. So again, please understand that. And I want to reiterate or just commend council members that have made valid points. You just heard Councilman Cannon, and I don't think any of us could have said it any better. So I really appreciate what he just shared. Councilman Reed, absolutely. We can't forget the city workers. Councilman Wilson, I think it's important to highlight the fact that when I'm of the opinion that things typically fail where people are asked to be responsible. And one of the areas that people are asked to be responsible is with the census. So please step up, as Councilman Wilson mentioned, please step up and be responsible, do your part, and fill out that form. If you have internet access, I know that we butt up against some rural areas and there are some people who don't have internet access. And for those people, I do have an announcement that there will be a drive-through census data collection activity conducted by the Carver Revitalization Group at the corner of North 10th Street and Tuscaloosa Avenue. That's going to happen this Saturday. It'll begin at 12 p.m. Please know that they'll be out there exercising good social distancing practices to make sure that they're not putting themselves or anybody else at risk. But it's an opportunity for you to bring your forms if you've gotten them at home, bring them to census experts and allow them to help. But it's that important. People are willing to come out of their homes where they know they're safe, and they're actually willing to take your documents and help you walk through that process. Again, as we talk about all of this stuff, let's not forget that this is at its core a public health crisis. So let's not forget our first responders, our police officers, and everybody out there that's trying to ensure our safety. You have a lot of people out there. Most of them are younger than 40 years old, whining and complaining about testing. Now, testing is very important. We know that testing is at the core of any strategy that any government entity has. But it's important to note that states, counties, cities are struggling to get adequate testing, and they're getting very little support from the federal government in that regard. So please be mindful of that as these cities are out there trying to get you access to testing. We got events like the one that's happening right now as we're speaking over at East Gadsden Methodist, and those events are going to happen every opportunity we get where supplies allow us to allow those events. But if you look at the rules associated with that event, please don't forget that priority is being given to those who are symptomatic at the moment and those who are elderly. So again, for those people who just have a desire to know whether or not they're positive, you're gonna be at the back of the line, and that list includes me. You know, if you just have a desire to know whether you're positive or not, we're not at a point now to where you're going to be prioritized. It's the elderly, it's those with underlying health conditions, it's those who are symptomatic at the moment that are going to get priority. And one of the great things that they've done with that event is you don't have to have a doctor's referral to be tested. You just have to meet those minimum standards. So again, please be mindful of all of that. And the very last thing I have for District 2 is that we're going to be talking about this stuff and much more on a District 2 call. So we have a town hall meeting, a virtual town hall meeting that's scheduled for Thursday, May 7th at 6 p.m. There is a web-based functionality as well as dial-in options for you to join the call. So again, it's a District 2 meeting, Thursday, May 7th, 6 p.m. Thank you, Madam President.
All right. Councilman Worthy, I've called on you, have I not?
But I will take this opportunity. I just got one announcement. I guess I'll be the guinea pig of the council. We're gonna have a District 3 webinar Zoom meeting this evening at 6 p.m. So put it on Facebook. It's on my Facebook page. And Eric has announced it, and Jennifer, I think I've sent it out to the news media. So if anybody would like to, from District 3, would like to be on this call, this webinar, you could just give me a call at 256-504-5049, and I'll send you the information where you could call in. And I believe Heath to be able to be there. Heath Williamson, our engineer, he will be on to answer any questions, but Hilton and Ty, they won't be able to make it tonight. So we'll get them next time to talk about the grass, because that's the most complaints I get in my district is the grass and debris. So they're taking care of the debris. So we got these lots that we're gonna have to figure out a way. And I spoke with, I think Lee last week, the attorney, but I don't guess he's on today to give me an update whether I could use the discretionary money to give it to a nonprofit to pay to cut some of these lots. But anyway, yeah, I'll be the guinea pig tonight, 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. So please give me a call. And I want to thank our employees also for the work that they're doing. And they're in harm's way, not just our first responders, but all our employees, because you don't know who may have this virus, and you speak with them and you can catch it. So please wear a mask. I wish we could pass an ordinance like Birmingham did, where everybody, if you go into business, you have to wear a mask. You come outside, you need to wear a mask. It's not just about protecting yourself, it's about protecting other people also, because you could be unaware that you have the COVID-19. You be asymptomatic and not showing any symptoms and give it to somebody or bring it home to your loved ones. And you don't want that to happen. So please take care of yourself, be safe, be responsible. The government is not trying to tell you what to do. We're just trying to protect you. So I know some of you got all these theories out there, and these people want to protest. That's your right to protest, but put a mask on while you're doing it up in the police officer's face, hollering and yelling and going on, because that you spitting right in their eyes. A lot of the police officers I've seen, they had masks on, but those people that was yelling at them, you know that that virus can enter through your eyes also, not just through your mouth and nose. So please, that's your right to protest, but have a little respect. Also, just our employees in general, I want to say thank you for all the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Councilman Back.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to echo and agree with all of my fellow council members with their comments. Our city employees, our first responders, doing a great job. There are a lot of unsung heroes out there, and we certainly appreciate everything that everybody's doing to help our city. I want to also agree and emphasize with Councilman Wilson about our census. It is so critical to the city of Gadsden for us to be the most successful that we've ever been in the taking of this census. Craig Scott at the library is doing a really good job with some data that he's providing to each council member, and it really drills down to a Google Street level view. And so before this is over, everybody's going to have a chance to complete the census, and it's up to each individual citizen to do this. And I think we as council members are going to be urging and trying to help people to complete the census. Again, it is really critical, given the state of our financial affairs, that we have the best census results that we've ever had as long as Gadsden has been a city. I'd also like to end with tomorrow at 2 o'clock at First Baptist Church. We're going to continue with our backpack giveaway. This is the same backpacks we give to Strickland Elementary School. We've opened that up to the entire city, really to the entire county. That's at 2 o'clock at First Baptist. And then due to our relationship with the Central Food Bank of Alabama, we have received, are going to receive tomorrow, 3,000 pounds of groceries, which we will be putting into boxes and giving away at 4 o'clock tomorrow at First Baptist Church Gadsden, downtown Gadsden, the corner of 5th and Walnut Street. You're going to see a line of cars, and if you'll just come get in line, you will receive free groceries. And it's through the Food Bank of Central Alabama, specifically through a $100 million gift from Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon. He's done this all over the country, and we're fortunate to be able to get some of that food. So put that on your calendar. Tell your friends, your neighbors, your church groups. We'll have 3,000 pounds of groceries to give away at 4 o'clock. And then we'll be doing the backpack program that we've been doing for the last 4 or 5 weeks at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at First Baptist Church Gadsden. This is in conjunction with the Alabama Teachers Credit Union and also with the Exchange Bank of Alabama. So just thank y'all very much, and everybody stay safe out there. I echo Councilman Wilson's sentiment about that. The worst thing we can have, y'all, is round 2. We've got to be smart about this, and we've got to take care of ourselves and take care of our family and our neighbors by just doing the right thing. This is all going to be over one day, and we can look back on it. But right now, we're in it, and we have to do the right things, and we have to be smart. Thank you very much. Everybody take care.
Mayor, can you hear me? Cut your mic on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You have any remarks? You have any remarks for us? We're about to end council meeting.
Yes, I know this a lot of remarks. In recent days, you know, we get bombarded by people about all the negative things they do. The first thing I want to say is, if you don't have a job and you're older, you need to go to all these auto suppliers. We started working about 6 or 7 or 8 years ago to get more companies here for jobs. And we can't get anybody to go work at them. They have good pay, good benefits, clean, unlike Goodyear steel plant used to be. And you can work there and, you know, make good money. And how do you think we need the money? Well, we do, because we have to pay roads, pay police and firemen, do all the cut grass, do all the things we do, and it takes money. We can't have a print machine like some places do. And then I want to get into the fact about, you know, and I know some say I don't do this or that. I'm available every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm out in the neighborhoods. I go look at every phone call I get about garbage, debris, whatever. I'm always out there riding around, and I'm always accessible. But beyond that, I want to say we need people to go get a job. Parents, if you got kids 18 and over that's not working, then you better think about they learn how to do work ethic. When you get old, they won't be able to take care of it. And we got a program at Gadsden State. We help them. They got a big auto technology program. You learn how to do anything on the vehicle. We also have some other jobs over there. I mean, there's just all kind of things that people can be doing instead of sitting on Facebook and throwing rocks at people when they don't even know what they're talking about. And yeah, I'm on a rampage, I guess you could say. But you know, you get so tired One guy called me, wanted to know why we hadn't cut his grass. And I said, where do you live? He told me, and I said, was your house on that lot? He said, yes. And I said, well, that's your job to cut the grass. And all these people who used to cut grass, you know, they could make a lot of money cutting grass. But if they want to go work in a plant, I know they're not going to go out and cut grass and make any money. And I know I'm on a real round today, but I'm going to continue on here for just a brief second. We assumed a lot of debt when we got in here. School, places, and we've kept it all going. We got over $30 million invested in school. We got the golf course out there, all that stuff. They were going to build houses at the airport, and then we found out before I let them stop them from doing it, there was a natural gas lease on all that property, and the people didn't even know it. So we stopped that too because they could put a gas well in your backyard. But you know, everybody needs to get on the same page if you want to make the city better and the city of champions. As long as you stand back and throw rocks and don't do anything and don't really ever know what you're talking about too, then we're not going to be able to go anywhere. And I want to thank Lisa Rosser and all the council and all the department heads who've been doing a great job in these hard times that we got, that they figured out how to keep things moving. And one last thing I'd like to say is on the about the jobs again, you know, you've got to get a little want to. So you have to go get a job. You have to do this if you want to make anything, you want to make a difference. But I can tell you the same way when the people got on Lisa Rosser, the finance director, all she was doing is doing her job. She was telling them the facts. They didn't want to hear it. Well, let's look at this. Where can you go to work? And we train you to go be a paramedic at the Gadsden State. And then you go to work for us. And you work one day and you're off 2 days. 24 hours one day, 24 hours the next day. And then you can be a paramedic, you can cut grass, you can have another job, you can do anything you want to. And I really don't like the way people got on her because they don't know what they're talking about. The other municipalities who gave a hazardous pay increase, we have more people than they, all of them put together. And it cost us more money. And we just bought a cancer policy for life for all of our firemen. So don't tell me we don't take care of them. I mean, I'm just not going to listen to it. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of them dogged, which I don't care. I could care less. Hey, I've been working all my life and I'm still working. So I'm just saying I appreciate all you guys that do the hard work, our employees, the council, and everybody that tries to do the right thing. And when these people get on there, if any of you ever got him want to talk to me, come to City Hall. Let me know when you're coming. I'll be there. I'll assure you. And I might give you some information that might open your eyes up to what's really going on in the world of Gadsden. Thank you.
Councilman William, you were saying something about Gadsden.
Yeah, Councilwoman Toles, I think just wanted to highlight something, and this kind of goes back to what Councilman Back was speaking to earlier. We got a report from Craig Scott earlier this morning regarding the response rate for the census. Gadsden, at least last week, our response rate was respectable. Now it's not. We're 7th of the list of 10 that are noted in that report, and we've actually fallen behind the state of Alabama's response rate. So again, an opportunity for those who have a lot to say about what needs to happen in terms of public funding and such to step up and do your part, because if we don't respond adequately, we're going to lose congressional representation. We potentially could lose federal funding. There are a lot of things at risk if we don't go out and account for what we are and what our numbers are.
If there's nothing else, the only thing that I have to say is amen, amen, and amen. I'd like to motion to adjourn.